Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a phenomenon that is just incredibly common, yet we almost never talk about it in the right way. So picture this. You woke up this morning, you slept a solid 8 hours, you didn't do anything exceptionally physically demanding today, no running marathons, no heavy lifting, and yet you feel completely, utterly exhausted. And I don't just mean a little sleepy, I mean empty. Drained, like someone just walked over and literally pulled the plug on your energy reserves. Well, if you're sitting there nodding your head right now, I want to set the record straight right out of the gate.
Look, if you've slept enough but you still feel like you've got absolutely nothing left in the tank, you really need to hear this. You are not lazy. You're not weak, and you are for sure not alone in this. You know, it's so easy to look back at a day where you just sat at a desk or ran some errands and harshly judge yourself for feeling so wiped out. But as we're about to uncover, feeling drained isn't always about the physical calories you burnt. Today, we're exploring exactly why this happens and what is actually going on inside your body when you feel emotionally rather than physically exhausted.
All right, let's jump straight into section 1, the emotional battery.
So emotional exhaustion is fundamentally different from physical tiredness. Think about it. When you're physically tired, your muscles are fatigued, right? And what fixes that? Sleep. You get some rest and boom, you're good to go. But an emotional drain, that doesn't just magically disappear with a good night's sleep. And the reason why is that it's not your muscles that are tired, it's your nervous system. You're basically trying to use a physical solution, like sleeping, to fix a nervous system problem. And that requires a completely different approach.
The best way to visualize this is to imagine a literal battery inside you, just like the one on your phone. Every single interaction you have, every decision you make, every little worry you carry, and every unspoken feeling you just swallow and hold on to, all of it uses up that battery life. If you're constantly giving your time to others, absorbing the moods of people around you, and overthinking your day, well, that internal power source is going to run flat very, very fast.
So what's causing this? Let's look at section 2, 5 hidden energy drains.
We've identified 5 incredibly common hidden culprits that just zap your emotional battery. We're talking about everything from carrying feelings that aren't actually yours, to suppressing your own feelings, right down to living with this constant low-level stress and unresolved conflict. Let's zoom in a little closer on a few of these, because frankly, spotting the drain is the first step to stopping it.
Okay, so if you're a highly empathetic person, this first one, emotional contagion, is huge. When someone around you is anxious or angry or sad, your brain actually actively mirrors that state. You absorb it. You process it as if it were happening directly to you. This isn't just you being too sensitive, okay? It's a scientifically documented process, and it is incredibly mentally exhausting. You are essentially doing the emotional heavy lifting for 2 different people.
Then we've got the second drain, which is suppressing your feelings. When you push down emotions, say frustration at a coworker, or fear or grief, you don't actually get rid of them. Actually, scratch that, it's worse. Suppression is incredibly mentally expensive. Your brain just keeps working on those suppressed feelings in the background. Think of it exactly like leaving a dozen heavy apps open on your smartphone. Even if you aren't actively looking at them, they are silently draining your battery life down to 0. Now, drains number 3 and 4 are deeply connected: decision fatigue and a lack of emotional boundaries. Every single choice you make, from navigating a massive crisis at work to agonizing over what on earth to eat for dinner, uses cognitive fuel. Now, tie that to boundaries. If you're constantly putting others first, and you just can't bring yourself to say no, you are essentially letting everyone else use up your fuel. By the evening, even the smallest choices feel completely impossible because you've let other people charge their batteries by draining yours.
Which brings us to section 3, the science of exhaustion. Let's look at the biology here.
I really want to shout this from the rooftops. It is not just in your head. Emotional stress triggers very real, highly measurable biological reactions in your body. When you feel that deep, empty exhaustion we've been talking about, your body is actually undergoing a massive chemical process.
Here's what's happening under the hood. When you're emotionally stressed, your brain releases cortisol, which is your primary stress hormone. Over time, all this chronic cortisol release puts a huge strain on your prefrontal cortex. That's the exact part of your brain responsible for thinking clearly, regulating your emotions, and making decisions. On top of that, it depletes your feel-good chemicals like serotonin and dopamine. So this whole biological cascade is exactly why emotional drain creates very physical symptoms. Things like tension headaches, that feeling of actual physical heaviness in your legs and arms, zero motivation. Your mind and body are just deeply connected, so a drained mind literally creates a physically drained body.
All right, so how do we fix it? Let's get into section 4, how to actually recharge. So here's our game plan.
4 actionable steps to get that emotional battery back in the green. First up, name your feelings. It sounds simple, but research actually shows that just labeling an emotion, saying out loud, "I feel incredibly anxious right now," or "I'm feeling resentful," measurably reduces its intensity. Don't avoid it, name it. Second, you have to protect your energy. Third, give yourself true rest. And fourth, talk to someone. Let's break down how to actually apply these last 3 steps in your day-to-day life.
So, protecting your energy requires boundaries. But look, you don't have to change your entire personality overnight, right? Just start small. The challenge for you here is to set just one boundary this week. Deliver one meaningful no to a request or a situation that you know drains you. It gets so much easier with practice, but you have to actively guard your battery if you want it to stay charged. No one else is going to do it for you.
Now, this next one is perhaps the most important realization, and I think we're all guilty of this. There is a massive difference between fake rest and true rest. If you're lying on the couch for 2 hours just scrolling through your phone, okay, yeah, you might be resting your physical body, but you are absolutely not resting your brain. Doom scrolling to unwind just keeps your nervous system engaged and on high alert. True rest means actual silence. It means getting out into nature, prayer, meditation, or even just a simple, low-stakes creative activity. Your brain needs an environment where it can actually finally switch off.
And finally, talk to someone, because carrying all these emotions alone literally multiplies their weight. When you keep it all bottled up inside, the burden just feels impossibly heavy. Whether it's a trusted friend, a family member, or a professional counselor, just sharing the load prevents you from carrying that multiplied weight all by yourself. It acts like a release valve for the pressure on your nervous system.
I want to wrap up this explainer with an old saying, but it is an enduring truth for a reason. You can't pour from an empty cup. Feeling emotionally drained isn't a sign of weakness, it's simply your mind's way of flashing a bright red warning light on your dashboard, telling you, hey, I need some care too. Please don't ignore that signal. You deserve to operate from a place of being full. So I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on, and I'd love for you to think about it. What is the single biggest thing secretly draining your emotional energy right now, and what is one small boundary you can set today to start taking your power back? Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.